Okay, so good morning, Facebook family. Good morning. All formats that chime in. Okay, so all forms that this is going to be posted to, during recording and post recording. So you may get a delayed recording of this, but feel free to comment. I'm open to the comments. But I want to talk about something this morning. I titled this feed. You may read it as He. It's part one of a two part series. And tomorrow, of course, is going to be She, right? And I picked it in this order not because of any particular artistic or religious reason. I put it in this order because primarily you have to have this. After I tell you what the acronym is to me, you'll probably understand it, but I've chosen it in this order because you can't do this without doing tomorrow. So this happened in my mind, in my thinking, and I'm open to the fact that somebody else may see it differently, and that's okay, and that's cool. That's why we're all here and we're all different. But He and HE, and it stands for human experience this morning. And so anybody who knows me knows that I am about universal. I am aware acutely of what my ethnicity is. I'm acutely aware of what my gender is. I'm aware of all of that, all of those things that separate me and put me into subcategories in the human race. But I really, really strive to be universal and stay along lines or align myself with principles, spiritual and or otherwise. But I want to talk about this morning because I saw something on Facebook, things that impassion me, things that get my attention, usually get me to asking myself some questions, and it sparks dialogue. So I want to bring this to the forefront today to get you guys input, one, and talk about the feelings that came about in me because of this human experience. And I may have did an earlier feed on this, but it was where I was at that time back then. And now, so I'm at a different place because we're constantly evolving. I believe that. And with evolution comes change, transcension, things of that sort. Definitely a shift in mood, attitude, ideology, behavior even, hopefully behavior, especially if your behavior is not acceptable to society and is harming others, but let alone, most importantly, yourself, right? So we're at this place and human experience. I saw a picture on a photo, a celebrity of sorts, or a wife of a celebrity, right? Took a photo, and she had on some clothing that is synonymous with a particular religion. Like the average person will look at a person who's dressed in this demeanor and naturally and instinctively and primarily assume that this person participated in this religion. Now, I've seen this person in different forums, different venues, and she didn't strike me as the type of individual. And stay with me if you're with me, because this is going to tie up to be really, really cute, and it's going to lead the segue right into tomorrow's topic. So they didn't strike me as the type to participate in this religion, or the religious practices thereof. But so I go to the comments, and baby, let me tell you, we are the human individuals who participate in the human experience are some type of phenomenon to see. You have to see them in action to believe some of this stuff. And what has happened is that this person, the The comments were unbelievable. They were saying, if you are participating in this in this particular religion, blah, 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 blah. If you are not, then may blah, 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 the name of that God guide you to him and teach you the error of your ways. I'm just paraphrasing how I received it. And some were good, like I was able to, and I went in and I said, there was a time and period where I had to utilize certain articles that this religion is famous for because of health conditions or whatever reasons I did. And, that doesn't make me a participant in this particular religion. So I went in and I did a hatchet job on those who seem to have stereotyped and or had certain biases against this individual. Now, I'm not a fan of this person either way. But I just don't like when people do how they do what they do and it tears away or it takes away or it diminishes from the beauty of something that someone is sharing. Does that make sense? And so I go in, I do my little 1-2 or whatever, which is usually a dissertation because your girl. I usually and I haven't gotten any responses back and and I'm okay with that. But I just had to say what I had to say, and whoever it reaches, I hope it helps and it not hurts. But I want to talk about the human experience. I came here by way of my mom's, by way of my mom. And anybody who is here, they know the whole birthing process, conception, and if you go deeper, some believe that, I was thought of even before, conception and my father and mother got together. But I don't want to get off into that. That's for another feed at another time. I came here by way of my mom and my dad, getting together. And, and what has happened is that, from the time I breathed my first breath, right, I became vulnerable and a candidate for the human race, right? And as I traveled along, each breath that I took, each step that I take, each phase that I grew through and maneuvered through the human, the biological process, right? Each phase that I did that through, each one that I traveled through, learned how to walk, learned how to talk, read, all those little milestones added to my human experience. Does that make sense? And I want to encompass everything that's happened to me, because everything that happens everything that has happened to me doesn't happen to everybody, right? So each human experience is different. Right. And even if let's stop right here. Even if we experience the same happiness, the same joys, the same blisses, the same traumas, the same bad experiences, the same horrors, right? Even if we experience those things, whatever end of the spectrum it is, even if we experience those things at the same place, the same time, the same age, we're not. How I receive them, perceive them, and experience them is different. Why? Because I'm a different person. My makeup is different. How I came into the world was different. I came in through a different portal. And so my feelings and emotions are going to be different. And I'm glad for that. I used to be upset when people didn't agree with me. Right? Well, I thought this movie was good, so why don't you think it's good? I thought this ice cream is good. Why don't you think it? This brand of ice cream is the best ice cream. Why don't you think so? Something's wrong with you because you don't think and feel and act the way that that was a phase that I was in. But now I'm so appreciative to the diversity, the eclectic approach that a lot of us take to things, because that's my approach today. My approach is not one particular religion, not one particular practice, not one particular belief, not one particular ideology. My approach to life is eclectic. Let me tell you why. Glad you asked. Because what happens a lot of times is that Okay, so I did practice a particular religion one time, and it was solely that religion, and it was all about riding for that God and doing as that literature said, and living by the good book and doing right and finding my way by way of that vein. And what that did was it really, and I'm talking about for me, and because I have family members and I have friends and I have people that I revere, they still practice that particular religious preference. And what happened, they are lovers of people. So I don't want you to walk away thinking that just because I was practicing this particular practice and I don't want this to be a referendum on religion. I'm going to mushroom out. So I just wanted to, but this right here is what sparked all this particular photo that I saw on Facebook. But I don't want to make this a referendum about religion. But I have family members, like I said, who are lovers of people. But what it did for me, because I am a person with experience in a human experience, and why I'm wired this way, I don't know. But what it did for me was that it sparked, practicing this particular religion sparked I started to not want to be bothered with people who did other religions, who practiced other religions, who believed differently than what I did. I'm a real regimented person when it comes to my psyche, and that's probably why I don't fare out very well with adopting just one ideology or one religion or one particular preference. Does that make sense? So I'm real regimented. Like once I'm in for the long haul. And it's like that horse that's racing, right? You get the little connection to the Kentucky Derby. Oh, sorry. To the Kentucky Derby. Like I have like that horse that has blinders that has to be focused. And that is such, for that purpose, that's great. But that's such, I rob myself of a beautiful experience when I do that. So I take a eclectic approach to things, and not just with regards to religion. Now I'm about to mushroom out. Not just to religion. Like in my practice, I try not to judge people based on what I see, how they behave, what their thought processes are, how they dress, their skin. I try not to judge them harshly on that. Now, if you present a pattern in behavior that needs to be at some point labeled, then I'll move into that. Now, am I right for that? I don't know, but I know I've come a far cry away from where I was. Right. Human experience. Now, another thing that happens with the human experience is that when I do this, I treat you so poorly. And I was able to witness that. How I speak to you. I was able to witness the comments on this young lady's post, like how we treat each other when we feel the way we feel about what we do. So I'm not alone. I already know I'm not alone, and I don't feel bad about that. And I am unapologetic about my stance and about my evolving process, my evolutionary process. It's definitely something to witness. You definitely have to be a surveyor and a purveyor in the audience of my life to see what I have mushroomed to and where I have come from. It's something like a phenomenon, and I'm not bragging. It's the truth. It's not bragging when it's the truth. But I want to mushroom out to this and how we treat each other. So I'm not alone in this. But what happened was I found myself like really, really upset about this, because when I got up this morning to groom myself, I said, why do we do this? We're here in the midst of a public health concern, pandemic, COVID-19, and we're still doing this to each other. Why? At this stage and age and stage of the game, whether the God is God, Allah, Buddha, the living Christ, the Seventh-day Adventists, the Southern Baptists, Judaism, Hinduism, whatever it is. At this age and stage of the game, does it really matter? People are dying. If you say that we value life and life is a precious commodity and our health is a, is a wealth or a resource that is unreplenishable. Once it diminishes, we got problems, problems. Like, whatever a person believes, however they think, whatever their ideology is, does it really matter? Does it really? The way people are checking out of here. Because once they're gone, they're going to wherever they believe or whatever they believe or however they believed or felt. They're going to that maker. So what is it of any concern to you? And I get the whole thing of social media, like we're socializing, but when does it end? And you can have those thoughts. That's the other piece. Let's flip that. Let's flip this. You can have those thoughts. But what does it cost, or what is it benefiting you, or how is it benefiting you to tear the next person down? What benefit is it? Because when I looked at the picture, and this is what I said in my feed, what I saw was a beautiful person, a beautiful being, right? Engaged in the human experience, who had enough chutzpah, yeah, I said it, that's from enough chutzpah to present themselves in a regalia or a garb that may or may not was indicative of their belief. Whether their behaviors prior to this particular month of worship, right? Concentrated worship, whether that was their intent or not, like, how do we benefit from that? By tearing this person down. It was refreshing to see this person in this light. It was liberating to see them free themselves, because their behavior beyond this forum, right? Beyond this point was, let society tell it, she's a little, raunchy, messy. These are the terms they use. But it was liberating to see her free herself in that manner. Let's flip it again. Like, the same God that you believe in doesn't necessarily take a perfect person. They take the mess and then turn it into a message. That's every religion that I've studied, every ideology that template, every ideology that I've studied, every literature or literature-based program, and we could talk about that another time. That's why I put quotations there. There's a certain template that goes along with that. So when we get there and we talk about that whole template, like everything that I've read, especially when it talks about liberation and hope and reaching higher planes, like it's based on hope. It takes the drunkards and the prostitutes and the dregs of society and communities, and it uses those individuals as messages to prove that anybody is able to be redeemed. So who are you? That was a question asked of me a long time ago, because I had got on this whole soapbox about how a particular person ought to be behaving. And I was asked this powerful question, like, who are you? That person is being used by the higher beings, higher beyond this realm. And who are we to judge? They're not serving correctly. They're not being correctly. They're a part of the human experience. Bottom line, period. How young people say, period. So that was my little thing today. Tomorrow, I think I slid into it a little bit. Tomorrow's feed is part 2. And it's she. The first one is he. Human experience, and the second part is going to be she. And we're going to talk about sharing the human experience. Get it? She. So I don't see anybody on here, and I don't know. If you catch this and you see that somebody needs this, share it. What is your thoughts on the human experience? What are your thoughts on people's feelings, thoughts, ideologies? And it doesn't have to necessarily just be relegated to religion. It could be education. It could be finance, what they believe about relationships. What is your thoughts on that? How are you feeling about that? And this is just to put a magnifying glass and give you the opportunity. And you don't have to share it on this forum. When you sit alone at night and you have that quiet moment, just one moment, ask yourself, what do I believe? Where am I at? Why do is it of significant importance to me to do this to another human being? It's the human experience. You're having one. I'm having one. Right now, this moment, you tuning in is the human experience. I'm running out of steam. So, I put my soapbox away. Ask yourself those questions. If I was shooting them off too fast, go back. And beautiful thing about this, go back, right? And ask yourself these questions when you have a moment to yourself. What is my belief system? Where am I at? And it could be in the area of finances, relationships, all that stuff. And it ties into the feed from last week about love. Who knew? But that's where I'm at today. Human experience. You guys have a good day. You deserve it. We're still in the midst of a pandemic, like I mentioned in the feed. Mask, hand sanitizer, everything. We got to fight this thing on the front that it's on. If you've gotten vaccinated, great. If you have not, no judgment here. For whatever your reasons are, they're your reasons. But just bear in mind, we are links in a chain, and we're only as strong as our weakest link. So if you're messy, the next person who is immunocompromised could be affected. This precious commodity of life that we have right now could be taken away from another human being because of you. So bear that in mind. You guys have a good day. You deserve it, and you definitely deserve it if you are pursuing it. Until we speak again, this is part 1. Tune in tomorrow if I am allowed the opportunity, and we will talk about she. Today we talked about he. Tomorrow we'll talk about she. We can't do one without the other. Human experience today. Tomorrow, sharing the human experience. Until we meet again.